Welcome to the Construction Disruption Podcast, where we uncover the future of design, building, and remodeling.
I'm Todd Miller of Isaiah Industries, manufacturer of specialty metal roofing. Welcome to Construction Disruption, the show that explores what's new, what's next, and what's working in the construction and remodeling worlds. Today, I am joined by my co-host, our VP of Sales, Seth Heckerman. What's the scoop, Seth?
Hey, looking forward to this conversation. Known this guest for a long time, learned a lot from him, so looking forward to learning some more today.
Sounds good. Well, I have a quick story to share, if I may. Okay. Seth, I know you've been the owner of a horse or part owner of a horse for, a few years now, right?
A few years, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Hopefully your daughters enjoy that. Well, I got to tell you, my wife and I recently bought a horse. I know I haven't said anything about this here at work.
Yeah,
I probably should. I haven't mentioned it, but we did buy a horse. It's interesting, though. So she will only come out of her stable after dark. Honestly, she's becoming a bit of a nightmare. Okay.
That was an appropriate one because Jeb knows more about sales and horses than both of us. So.
Absolutely.
What half of the horse you own?
Well, let's get started. You good to go, Seth?
Yep. Looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Well, today we're thrilled to welcome a true giant in the world of sales and leadership, Jeb Blount. If you're in sales and you don't know his name, you probably do know his books, things like Fanatical Prospecting, Selling in a Crisis, People Buy You, The AI Edge, and his newest book, The LinkedIn Edge, which I just started. So I, for one, am especially excited about his newest book, given how important relationship building is in today's world. Jeb is also the founder of Sales Gravy, focusing on sales training and enablement solutions, a highly sought-after speaker, and a master at helping people learn to connect better, sell smarter, and lead stronger. Jeb, welcome to Construction Disruption. We're truly honored to have you with us so that we can dig into some topics of great benefit to our customers.
Thanks for having me on. It's been a long time since we've been together, and I think of you and your company fondly. And I appreciate the intro. I need to get you to follow me around. And like when I walk into a room, if you could just do that for me, it would be so good for my ego.
Well, I'd love to do it. I had a few words in there I've struggled with, though, but I'd love to do that. Well, like we've alluded, we've known each other for a few years. Can you share a little bit, though, with our audience, the roots of your passion for helping people to sell better, helping people to lead better? What's the genesis of all that?
That's a really good question. I don't know that anybody's really ever asked me that question. How did this come about? I started selling when I was super young. I started selling in college, and maybe the genesis was in my mid-20s. I became a sales leader. So I got my first sales job, and I fell in love with coaching and developing and training my people and watching them succeed. And so much so that I would pick up opportunities to train other teams or teach things, or the organization that I worked for would have a big sales conference and they would bring me on stage to speak. And so I gave my first big keynote to a huge crowd of people in Palm Springs. And I think it was in 1996, so a really long time ago. But that there was just something that gave me joy to do that. And then as my career progressed and I grew in the corporate world and started running really large sales teams and advanced, I kept finding myself, even with my large sales team. So at one point I've got a sales team of about 1,000 people that I'm working with. Even then, I would gravitate to going out and seeing those teams and teaching them something, or working with them on a strategy, or when we did our sales conferences, doing workshops and breakouts and training. So I think probably the best way to put it is whatever God's purpose for me was on earth, he put joy in my heart when I'm doing that work. To do so, that joy makes me or perpetuates the continuation of doing that. And so much so that the reason that I have people in my company around me is that I love doing it so much. I'd probably be broke because I just do it. I do it for free. Because no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing, if you ask me about sales, I'm going to spend some time with you.
I've always noticed that about you. You are very willing to share and help people get better, and I love that. Well, as I alluded earlier, you have just been amazing at all the books you have written. I think when we first met, it was right after People Buy You had come out. And man, it's just been a flurry of activity since then. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the book you released last year, which was The AI Edge. And of course, AI is just disrupting everything, including construction. Kind of curious what inspired you to write this book, because it's a little off the track in terms of a normal sales training sort of book, but how is the way that you see AI changing business owners and even how salespeople should approach their work?
Well, I'll answer both those questions because they're a little bit different. So what was the inspiration? The inspiration was a phone call. I was in San Antonio. I had just left a keynote that I delivered for a big company. And my editor, who's a vice president, John Wiley and Sons, the company that publishes my books, called me. I answered the phone and, what's up, Shannon? And she goes, hey, we're looking at AI and we're thinking we need to have an AI sales related book. And we don't want anybody to write it but you. Now, at the time, Todd, I'm not thinking I want to write an AI book. Like literally when I'm saying that she's saying the words to me, I'm thinking, like you said, this is way off of what I normally write. I'm really not that interested in it. But she did the one thing that, I can't help. Like she goes, we want you to write it. So she made me feel important, which is important, by the way, for relationships.
Absolutely.
And then she created exclusivity because then I'm thinking, well, if I don't write it, then someone else will write it. And then I'll regret that I didn't write it because they're getting all the glory. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So I shelved another project, the Fanatical Prospecting Sequences that has been pushed off to next year. I shelved that project and wrote the LinkedIn Edge, and I brought my good friend Anthony Iannarino in to help with the process. So that was what inspired it. Now, once we got into it, it was a little bit different. We totally got into it. You started looking at AI and the impact it's going to have on everyone, and I use AI every single day of my life, and then start weaving it into like, how do you work this into sales? Now, the core premise in this book that I stand by vehemently is that sales professionals are not going to get replaced by AI. In your world, for example, in construction and roofing, and I do a lot of work in home services and in big time construction, the people that are out standing in the mud, the people that are climbing up on roofs are not going to be replaced by AI. Now, they may be augmented by AI. Like you can use a drone to go up and help you run measurements and take a look at things. But your work in the field is never going to go away, because when people are making those complex decisions, they want to spend time with another human being that can help them make those complex decisions. So if you're a business owner or you're a salesperson and you're looking at AI, and let's do this from a business owner standpoint, my team we have 34 people on my team. So if we go back, when we first met, I had 2 people on my team, and it was me and my wife, and that was it. Today we have 34 people on the Sales Gravy team, and I met with them back in June. And this was my message. So I brought them all to Asheville, North Carolina. We had a summit, sat down with them and said, we're not going to build more people. And we have added a couple more people, but we're not adding a lot more people. We're not going to double the size of our footprint. What we're going to do is we're going to start using AI to be more productive. And so what I'm looking for is a group of people who has, a total span of 34 seats or 34 souls. And we're going to start operating like a company that has 100. And we're going to leverage AI to make ourselves that more productive so that we can compete with bigger companies, even though we're small in size. And the way that I describe this to people, and this is not in the AI book, but this is sort of the thought process and trying to help my own team adopt and put AI into practice, is that imagine that you are standing in front of a symphony orchestra. So you can imagine you're in an auditorium and there's a crowd behind you, but you're standing in front of them and you're the conductor. So in front of you is a little pedestal. It's got the music on it. You're holding a baton. And in front of you are all these instruments. So there's oboes and violins and cymbals and flutes and all the things that are in an orchestra. That is what it's like for business owners and for the people that work in businesses in the age of AI. You are the conductor. And all of those instruments out there, those are your AIs. And it's your job as the conductor to get those AIs working in unison to make beautiful music, or to help you solve a problem, or to fix something, or develop something, or think about something. But that orchestra is going to make you bigger. Because if you imagine the conductor standing in front of all the seats and they're all empty, the conductor, maybe they can play one instrument, but that's all they're going to be able to do. So as we move into the next year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, what I encourage people to do is look at it that way. I'm the conductor, and I'm using my human intuition, I'm using my emotion, I'm using my creativity, I'm using my ability to think in nonlinear ways, I'm using my ability to look at problems and think about problems and conceive problems that I've never, ideas I've never had before, knowing that I can go right back in front of my AI orchestra and I can say, you know what, I got this thought. Let's think about what we should do about it. And I know exactly the AIs to tap into to make that a reality.
Such a good metaphor.
That really is, and it's just it opens up such an amazing universe. Well, I'm kind of curious. I mean, and it seems like AI. I think a lot of people are starting to dabble in it and finding out, gee whiz, this is pretty easy. But is there anything you could imagine a salesperson trying to do with AI that would be a mistake, that would not be helpful to them?
Yeah, the number one mistake would be thinking that you can replace yourself with AI.
Oh, gotcha.
Great example today. I was on a webinar, I was on a conference call a day, but it was a video call like this. And one of the people had replaced themselves with a bot. Mm. Now they were actually doing the speaking, but their avatar was AI generated. And that was a mistake, because there was no way to connect with an AI generated face, right? You knew it was AI generated, you knew it wasn't them, and you instantly knew it was artificial. So when you think about communication, if I'm writing a letter to someone, and by the way, in the LinkedIn Edge, there's tons of prompts in here, and we talk about the same thing here. This is a really good continuation from the AI Edge. But if you're writing an email and you let AI do all the work, people know you're faking it. Everybody knows you're faking it. So if you use AI to help you get there faster, and then you put your human touch on it, if you write it, then you're going to be able to express what you wanted to express faster, but it sounds like you did it and you wrote it. And by the way, you put some heart and soul into it. So anytime you're putting AI in front of you and your customer, and you're not doing it in a transparent way. So for example, let's just say that you and I had a sales meeting, a discovery meeting, and I sent you an AI generated summary. If I wrote you a note and said, hey, Todd, it's Jeb over at Blah Sales Gravy. Hey, thanks for the meeting today. Really appreciate it. Hey, I've attached the summary that my AI put together. I've had a chance to go through it and read through it. I've edited it, but I think it captures our conversation and our next steps. I thought I'd send this to you as a convenience. That's perfectly okay. I'm completely transparent about the AI generation. My note to you is completely human. The conversation we had was completely human. So the biggest mistakes that salespeople are making primarily right now is that they're using AI to build their messaging, and they're not going back and editing that. So what I call AIing it in, right? So you're just using AI to do the work for you. The second mistake that salespeople will make is trusting AI. So robot rule number one in the AI Edge is never trust, always verify. And I'll give you an example today. I was writing a letter today. It was a long letter, and it was an important letter. And I was using AI to help me get some sources for that particular letter. It was a legal issue that we were dealing with. And it would give me a source. I went back and checked all the sources. So in other words, I didn't just trust the AI. AI did a great job. I could have just copy pasted what I did right into the letter and it'd been fine from a legal standpoint. But the last thing I want to do is cite something and then it's wrong. So I went back and checked, and of all the sources, it was right on 99% of them. There was one source. When I went and read the source, and then I did a search inside that source, the AI cited something in that source that didn't exist. So it was a hallucination. So it's super important to us when it matters, and when we've got something on the line, never trust, always verify. And by the way, for all the people that are hopeful that all the AI companies are going to work the hallucinations out of their AI, they are not going to do it. No matter what they say, they're not trying to do it. They're focusing on other things. Those hallucinations, the things that AI do, the things they do that lie to us, essentially, they're going to keep doing that, and they're going to do it forever. So just get used to it. Always check your sources.
Very interesting. Well, I want to jump in because you touched on something that I had already picked up on, and that's the fact that the LinkedIn Edge really is a follow-up to AI Edge in terms of, telling you, hey, here's steps further. And, again, I'm just started into the book, but one of the things I picked up on real quick was the way that I could use AI to help me learn more about who's out there on LinkedIn. And, it's really opened up my world quickly. But I'm kind of curious. So, what are just some great things that you think people will learn from reading the LinkedIn Edge?
The number one thing I think you're going to learn in the book, and this is called gratuitous book promotion.
Hey, I'm doing it for you too.
I think I think if we start at what the LinkedIn Edge is, this is a pipeline book. So the primary purpose of this book is not to teach you some conceptual, here's what LinkedIn is, here's how you do it. The primary purpose of this book is a follow-on of the book I wrote, Fanatical Prospecting. So it kind of take the AI Edge, take Fanatical Prospecting, take the LinkedIn Edge, plug that in. That's what you're going to get. So the primary focus is how to use LinkedIn to put more new opportunities, new business opportunities into your pipeline on a consistent basis. Those opportunities could come from existing customers. They could come from new customers. And we also break down prospecting because there's been a lot of noise on AI or on LinkedIn, say over the last 15 years or so, that tells salespeople that you don't really need to do traditional sales work and prospecting work. Just go use LinkedIn and your pipeline is going to be magically full. We all know at 15 years later, after everybody used all that hype, that that's just not true. And so what we really focus on is two forms of prospecting. There's fast prospecting and slow prospecting. So fast prospecting is what we would traditionally call fanatical prospecting. So fanatical prospecting is I need to interrupt people, I need to engage them, and I need to convert them into pipeline opportunities. And the people that you're interrupting could come from inbound leads that you're generating through marketing. They could come from lists that you're building through research. They could come from lists that you are building on LinkedIn. And we walk you through how to go do the research, do the sorts, do the searches, and build those particular lists. But the fast prospecting motion is primarily, in my world, pick up the phone. In some people's worlds, it's go knock on a door, go swing doors. It could be email, it could be direct messaging, it could be smoke signals, but the intent is interrupt, engage, convert. And we're doing that fast because when you need to fill up your pipeline, it's like being in a room and not having enough oxygen. You can't breathe. So you gravitate to that. If we go to the next level, which is slow prospecting is a sequence and strategic and intentional set of interactions with someone over time that then creates an opportunity to open a buying window in the future. So I work heavily in like heavy equipment and construction, for example. I've got a lot of clients in that space. And if let's say you own a construction company and you're going to buy an excavator, and the excavator is going to cost $800,000 or it's going to cost $500,000, you're not making a decision like that on a whim. You're looking at your current equipment, you're looking at the life cycle of that equipment, you're looking at how much it's costing you to maintain the equipment, you're looking at future projects, you're looking at all those things. So no one's going to call you up and say, hey, you want to buy a piece of equipment? And you're going to go, yeah. They're going to call you up and they're going to build a relationship with you over time, and they're going to get to know you, and you're going to get to know them, and you're going to create a level of familiarity. And so hopefully your salesperson is identifying by having their conversations with you a future buying window, and then they're using, say, a LinkedIn, or you could just do this in-person networking. I mean, LinkedIn's just online networking, but you could use this in a way so that when the buying window opens, I'm in play. Like you're talking to me, you want to talk to me, I've gained trust over a series of touches. And the bigger the dollar volume of the sale, the more complex the sale, the more likely that strategy is going to work out for you long term. But no matter who you are, if you're running fast and slow at the same time, in other words, you're using a LinkedIn, for example, for your fast prospecting sequences. And in the book, we tell you about how to do that through LinkedIn direct messaging and how to use different touches on the platform to do that. and you're filling up your pipeline now, and you're running slow prospecting. So think about the candy now and later, right? I'm using slow prospecting for later. At the intersection of fast and slow prospecting, that's where top sales professionals are making a lot of money, because one is feeding the other, and they're no longer in a situation where they're constantly running out of oxygen. And that's, by the way, what a lot of businesses do, right? We're super, super busy, and then we're absolutely empty, and then we're super, super busy, and then we're absolutely empty. We can end that cycle of the desperation roller coaster, the up and down, feast or famine, with a more dialed in, blended strategy that uses all of those pieces. So the whole framework for the book is built around that. The first part around part one, fast prospecting. Part two, we dial you into time management so how do you leverage LinkedIn in both fast and slow. And then the back part of the book, which is most of the book, is built on that slow prospecting process, which is everything from the connections, the familiarity. How do you create a lead gen machine from your LinkedIn? And then how are you using that to multi-thread into the accounts and the deals that you want to get into?
Such good stuff. And that's what I always appreciate that about your content, Jeb, where it's always this like both and of it's not only phone and it's not, not the email or the other new technologies that are available to us. And it's not swinging the other too far the other direction. And, I want to tell you that fanatical prospecting, along with Anthony's book, Eat Their Lunch, has just transformed how we operate as a sales team and what our outbound efforts are. And we frequently in sales meetings quote that salespeople who don't prospect have skinny kids. That was a favorite of ours. And then also, we were just in familiarity season. We've sort of coined that one around here.
I like that. That's good.
Contractors are busy. We may not get the conversation right now, but they're going to remember us in 3 months.
Love that.
But so other than what you've laid out in the AI Edge and using LinkedIn, I'm just curious. Years now since fanatical prospecting. Is there anything else that new or different or things you would supplement that content with that you're teaching folks now?
Yeah, and before I do that, just recognize that I just want to go dogs to all y'all Ohio people up there. I know y'all are feeling high and mighty right now.
That was targeting on Marvin Harrison Jr. That changed
I was
that
reaching
game.
over there. I didn't realize I had my University of Georgia.
You have a big game this weekend. Ole Miss is coming town.
We do. A really big game this weekend. And you can bet that Kiffin is going to be looking to take some scalps with him. So and this is my University of Georgia College of Veterinary Medicine. So we, my wife and I have an endowed scholarship at the veterinary medicine place for people who work on horses. So how about that?
Very cool.
I think that when you think about the concept of slow and fast prospecting, there's a couple of pieces in this book that I think are I think really important. One of those is this concept of familiarity. So, and I was just on a podcast yesterday with a college professor who'd done a lot of research in this, and he'd done research in how familiarity leads to trust. So the more people who see your face, hear your name, that actually creates this level of trust. And it's not like you get trust immediately. It happens over a period of time. In the book, we talk about how if you saw someone on TV, and I always think about this, ages me a little bit, but I remember watching ER back in the 90s, and the first time you saw George Clooney, he wasn't famous at all. But he kept showing up, and then he ended up in another movie, and pretty soon he's one of the biggest movie stars ever. And you'll watch anything with George Clooney in it if you like George Clooney, or Bruce Willis, like when he was on this is back in the 80s, right? When he was on Blue Moon. But nobody knew who he was, and then he got bigger and bigger and bigger. Ryan Reynolds is the same example of that, where he was on some sitcoms and then he got bigger and bigger. And now when you see them, you trust them in any movie. Like they say, "Hey, this is starring George Clooney or Ryan Reynolds." You go, "I'm going to that movie because I like this person." It's the same thing in life. Right. So if you're out like talking to your contractors, you're out having conversation with your contractors, and you're just showing up, then the more you show up, the more you become familiar, the more they like you. And I mean, as long as you're not a complete putz, they're going to like you. Right. and so in the book, we talk about the 5 S's of LinkedIn. That's the final part 5 of the book. And one of the S's is showing up. How are you showing up on LinkedIn? What are you doing? And if you go back to part 2, which is how do you manage your time? Everybody who's hung out on social media knows that you can eat up an entire day hanging on social media if you want to. But if you've got your time blocked every day for LinkedIn, like any other prospecting channel, and part of that is showing up. You're showing up in your network. You're showing up in front of your contractors, your customers. You are liking the things that they're posting, and you're making comments on them, and they see your face, and you're maybe tagging them in things. They had something successful. The more that you do that, the more familiar you get. And if you combine that with being intentional about the network that you're building on LinkedIn, who you're letting into your network, how you're organizing your network, how you're showing up for them, that begins to create that ecosystem of trust, so that, again, when a buying window opens, and buying windows can open because they're going to open. Like, I've got a project coming up, the buying window opened, right? I've got a new customer, the buying window opened. It could open because I've got a contract that's expiring with a competitor and I'm interested. It could open because we're opening up another division of our company that is going to be focused on high-end luxury roofing. Like, it could be any of those things, right? But you've got a buying window open. You can create buying windows. So if I've got trust with you and I'm building trust with you, and I come to you and say, listen, I've been watching you in your business. I've been looking at some of the challenges you're facing. I've got something that can help you, and it can change something for you. I can create a buying window. But the customer's not going to engage and have a conversation about that if there's not a reasonable amount of motivation on their part to go through a sales conversation. So in some cases, in fast prospecting, those buying windows are easily identifiable. In other cases, they might not be. So when we start thinking about the slow prospecting and familiarity piece, we're talking about essentially covering accounts over time in a way, both in person, by phone, doing traditional synchronous conversations, and using LinkedIn to create that leverage so that one day you walk through the door and they're like, man, you look just like George Clooney. And they start throwing money at you. I think it's that concept that can be hard to understand. Like, that can be hard to grasp, because if you think about it, that's a lot. And it feels like, how can I ever get there? And it's completely overwhelming. And what I love so much about this book, and I got to tell you, there's books I get excited about, and this was one that I'm so excited about. I love this book because it doesn't just go, okay, here's the big concept. It literally breaks down how to do this and how to put it in place. And I think, importantly, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't say, here's the black and white, you have to do this. It says, here are all the ways that you can do it. And you're going to need to start picking the things and the ways that you can do that are going to be best for you. But here's how you do it. And Todd, you're going through the book and you start looking at like the how-tos, like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I haven't written a lot of books that go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4.
Yeah.
So this book just lays it out for you.
Yeah, it's fantastic so far. Well, I want to touch on another book you wrote that's very important called Sales EQ, and it talks about the importance of emotional intelligence on the part of the salesperson. Just reflect a little bit on why that is important for someone, say, in a high-trust situation such as sales.
Let's go back to the AI edge. Okay, so here we are in the age of AI. And if we start thinking about what AI can do, it can do everything. I mean, it's like, I sometimes it's like watching magic, because there's got to be some sort of a witch doctor behind the whole thing. So if we think about that in the context of selling, and I'm clear on my belief that selling is the ultimate human career choice, that AI is not going to displace us. And the Walmart CEO said this recently. He said, as long as human beings are walking to our stores, there's going to be human beings in our stores taking care of them rather than robots, because human beings don't like robots. So in a world where AI can do all of these magical things that are just unfathomable just a few years ago, where does the salesperson fit? Well, the salesperson fits in the human-to-human connection. And human-to-human connection is basically governed by emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is simply your ability to own, to perceive, to understand, to manage, and have the discipline to control your emotions so that you have the ability to perceive and to influence the emotions of other people. That's all emotional intelligence is. Now, there's a lot that goes into that bucket, but that's what it is. So let's think about what the future salesperson looks like. In a world where AI can do so much of the things that we used to do, in a world where your customer can go on to AI and say, tell me all about Boom, and they can get a whole dissertation on whether that is, what is your role? Well, the role of the future salesperson is the role of a consultant. Now, we've been talking about consultative selling since the early 1990s, maybe the late 1980s, as a discipline. And ever since then, we never really actually did it. Like, no one ever really totally put in consultative selling. I remember going through consultative selling skills when I was in my first sales job when I was like 23, 24 years old. And we weren't really talking about consultative selling. We were just labeling something consultative selling, and we were just going through the process of getting people things closed. But now we're in a different place, right? So I can go through all this information on AI. What does a consultant do? Okay, well, I'm a consultant, and businesses hire me and my company to go in and help them fix their go-to-marketing challenges. And it is not uncommon for me every day, every week to be sitting in a boardroom, sitting with a group of leaders, and all I'm doing is listening. They're telling me what's going on. They're showing me data. They're trying to fix a problem. And then they look to me for advice to help them make sense of all this. They have all the information. There's a saying in the consulting world, right? All consultants do is tell you what time your clock says. Right? I'm not like coming in with some rocket science insight. I'm coming in with perspective. I'm coming in with experience. I'm coming in with business acumen. I'm coming in, as they say down here in the South, with no dog in the hunt. So I'm not attached to any outcome, but I'm coming in with the heart. I guess my entire purpose there is to help them solve a problem so that they can achieve an outcome. That's why they bring me in and pay me big bucks to be a consultant. I'm not like giving them information about their business that they didn't know, nor am I giving them information that they couldn't read in a book, look up, find someplace else. I'm not doing any of those things. I'm usually just asking really provocative questions or evocative questions that get them to think. The future of the salesperson is that. The future of the salesperson is the expert. You are the consultant. We're not coming up with information. We're taking all of the information that people get, and we're helping them solve complex problems that they don't trust themselves to solve alone. And you can't do that without a high degree of emotional intelligence. Because without a high degree of emotional intelligence, you are unable to develop and build the relationship and manage your emotions and influence their emotions so that you earn the right in those conversations to make recommendations with confidence that they believe and will follow.
I love what you just said there about earning the right, because so much of sales is about that, earning that right. And, when you think about it, yeah, absolutely. Consumers are going to go out there and get all the information they can from AI, but they still need that salesperson to help them sort through it, figure out what's going to make the most sense for them. Great story. Well, curious, what would your top advice be to someone out there who may be just getting started with a career in sales? What would read all of your books, I think, would be the number one thing.
Yeah, we'll say, I've got a brand new Jeb Blount box set on Amazon that's got everything in it. It's beautiful. I would encourage you to get that. Yeah, so I would definitely go do that. If you're brand new in sales, I would encourage you to do a couple of things. I would encourage you to focus on your mindset and belief system. And let's start here. Sales professionals are the elite athletes of business. And why do I say that? Because if business is a game of getting and keeping customers, which it is, and if the number one reason why people go out of business is that they don't have enough customers because they're not getting and keeping customers, if that's the truth, then you are the most important part of your business, bar none. And if that's the case, we picture a business like an NFL team. There's people that are there on the sideline supporting medical people, coaches. There's people up in the home office taking care of everything. The players are on the field playing. They are elite athletes. Now, if you were to dial into an NFL team and take everything else away, those elite athletes, they play the game, and then the next day they're in the room watching game film. And then they're on the field and they're running drills. They spend almost all of their time practicing, either mentally practicing or physically practicing, almost all the time. They spend a teeny bit of their time actually playing the game. And that's true for elite athletes in every sports league, even at Ohio State. Everywhere you go, that's what they're doing. The Georgia Bulldogs spend almost their entire week practicing and watching game film, working on drills. They know what to do. They drill because they are elite athletes. It's a skill position. And every single thing that they know and learn how to do on a football field without practice will begin to diminish over time. And by the way, same thing for lone wolf-like professional golfers. And if you're an amateur golfer, you know, you practice, play. Incrementally, you get better and better and better. So if you're brand new in sales, start there. This isn't something you put sales in your business card and you're going to be good. This is a lifetime of learning and getting better and trying to get all the information in. And we alluded to this earlier, but understanding that there's a lot of people out there that will tell you this is the one way to sell salvation. Well, there isn't a one way. There's lots of ways. And those ways are going to change based on who you are, your customers are, your industry, or what have you. So first, adopt a mentality that I am a work in progress and I must always be a work in progress, and that I must practice and role play and learn. And even if I've heard it a million times, do it again, because it's a craft and a skill set that you have to maintain over time through the work of an elite athlete. Number two, understanding that on the sales chessboard, sales is simply a game of probabilities. There's nothing that's right or wrong. There's nothing that's dead or alive. There is nothing that is better or worse. There is simply probability. And so when we start thinking about this concept of, say, blending different formats or blending different communication channels, my goal is to choose the best technique, the best channel, the best message for that particular customer at that particular moment in time that is going to deliver the greatest possible outcome at the lowest cost of time, energy, and emotion. And if I play the game that way, everything that I do on the sales chessboard is about probability. And I add that to training and skill development and mindset development. What happens is you will very quickly bend the curve and you'll move into the elite ranks of sales professionals, because you understand that your entire focus of both training and technique, of tactics and strategy, is that you are bending the win probability in your favor, that at any particular moment you are able to achieve your outcome, that what you want to achieve with that customer. And that is essentially the game of sales in about 3 minutes of shtick.
That is beautiful. So tell us about Sales Gravy, and also the consulting services and support that you offer to businesses.
Sure. So since we last worked together, we have become a different company. We are much bigger than we used to be. We are all over the globe. We have a team of 34 people, but essentially what we serve three different groups of customers. We have individual salespeople who come to us for e-learning on Sales Gravy University or books. They consume our podcast, and those are all the individual salespeople that I'll stop and talk to anywhere, anytime. Pick me up in the airport. Y'all are all coming out of the woodwork. People call in. You can call in on Ask Jeb and ask me questions. So we've got that group. Then we've got our large enterprise customers. So we've got our Fortune 1000 customers, and we are serving them in all kinds of capacity, from building playbooks to developing custom training programs, delivering fanatical prospecting boot camps, and providing e-learning and digital learning that they put directly on their learning management systems. And we're doing go to market consulting and fixing comp programs and doing sales process improvement, a lot of basics for the large customers. And then we have our core group of customers, and there are our I would say our favorite companies. And those are the small and medium-sized businesses from say $5 to $10 million up to around $300 million. A lot of them are family-owned, they're founder-led companies. and they're trying to solve all kinds of problems. And with small companies, like, you got 2 or 3 salespeople, what our most popular services is our team hub. So we have a team training hub on Salesgrave University. If you got a small sales team, you bring your sales team in, we give you an account manager, you get access to learning paths and about 1,500 hours of on-demand sales training content. And every single week, we run 2 to 3 live workshops and courses. The same courses, by the way, we teach big companies, and your sales team and your salespeople can jump into those courses and learn from our master trainers. It's a really cool thing that we started 2 years ago for small businesses, and we're, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000 businesses, somewhere in that space these days. When we move up into larger family-owned companies, we are in some cases literally just putting one of our consultants or trainers in their world, and we're on site with them. We're going out in the field with their salespeople. We are helping them build out their sales processes, build out their training processes, developing those companies, and we really come in as a true partner. We call them integrated partnerships, and these become years-long engagements as we grow and develop their businesses. One of the companies, for example, that we started working with a few years back, when we started working with them, they were a $30 million company. And today we're on a new track with them. They've crossed $500 million. And now we're helping them get to $1 billion. But that relationship changed over time. So those are companies that are just using every single thing that we have, and they're bringing it into their organization so that we can help them grow faster and really develop those systems so that they can move faster over time. So through all of those things, we're able to serve those 3 different constituencies. And it's one of the reasons why we're adding trainers and consultants as fast as we can. That's the one place where we're growing our headcount, because that's something that AI can't do. And it's fun. Like, it's a great business to be in, that we can look back and see our footprints all over, especially the United States, these businesses that we've been a part of their transformation.
That is amazing. And I know that even despite all of this, you're still kind of a family-owned, family-run business. Is Carrie still active in the business?
Yeah. Carrie is. She's our COO.
Okay.
So she runs everything, and we've got his family. My daughter-in-law is our head of our account strategy and
I saw
digital.
that.
Yep. And then my son works in marketing, and he's out building websites and marketing things. I'm actually going to go see him just a bit because I got him building a framework for me. So yeah, it's all in the family. My brother-in-law is my number one salesperson, consultant, trainer, Brad Adams. Shout out to Brad. He's killing it. It's both a family business that it's expanded into a lot more other families that I know that you feel the same way about your people, but we feel a responsibility because we're making an impact on their lives as well.
Yeah, cool stuff. And you have, like I mentioned earlier, just been prolific in terms of the content you have produced, going back to the salesgravy.com days, and then all the books, and just thing after thing after thing, and so much great information for folks. But the really cool thing is, if they want to go deeper, and sometimes business owners, I think, realize, okay, I can read these things and I can learn it and I can embrace it cognitively, but I can't actually put it into practice. And I think that's where you folks can step in and really help them put it in practice also.
Absolutely. And then, and one of the things especially for small businesses where you've got a founder-led business and you've got the vision to change, we've been doing this informally for a long time. We formalized this over the last couple of years, but we provide fractional sales leadership for businesses where you're trying to scale up. And our goal is to be temporary. So when you're a business owner and you're trying to manage all the hats and you're trying to run a sales team, and any business owner that's not from sales recognizes that it's like herding cats, and it's almost, how do I manage these people? They're crazy. I know, I get it. I'm crazy too. We'll install a fractional sales leader who can help that, do it in an affordable way. And then as we get that sales team stabilized or built in the right place, then we'll help you go hire a permanent sales leader that fits your culture and won't blow it up, so that then you can continue on down that road. And that's been like crazy helpful with those businesses that are on that shoulder where, maybe you're 5, 10, 15 million, but you're at that place where you can get bigger, but you just don't have the enough leadership or people on your team to get there, and the damage that you can do to your organization for hiring a bad sales leader is just too risky. We can jump in and fill that gap temporarily to get you to that place where you can get that stability.
I love that because I have been there as a business owner, times where I hired people that I thought could help me tame this sales thing, and they did literally blow it up.
Yep.
I've had a couple of experiences like that. So, gosh, that's good stuff. Well, Jeb, it's just been a huge privilege to have you here today and to be able to talk with you. Gosh, we've covered so much, but so much more we could cover. Is there anything we haven't covered today that you wanted to be sure to talk about?
I'm just going to give you one more book plug. Go buy the LinkedIn Edge. I've written 17 books. This is number 17, and I'm saying this from my heart. I love this book. I love all my books, but there's a couple that I love more than others, and this is one of those. It will not hurt you. It will make you better, and you're going to want to get it for all the people on your team. And by the way, even the people that aren't in sales, there are parts and pieces of this book that will help you greatly in marketing in terms of expanding your footprint.
Yeah. Well, and I'm even picking up on, we think of LinkedIn as being strictly B2B, but there are things in here that are going to help you for your B2C business primarily also. So.
Well, absolutely. If you're doing B2C business, and let's say you're doing a high-end construction, or you're building a
roofing system. How about that?
A roofing system. I think about, the roofs that you guys do that are like, I always look at those as like, one day I'm going to grow up and have enough money to be able to afford, one of your roofs. But if you're doing that, think about the people that you're building for and you're doing that for. They're not working at Walmart. They're working in business someplace. They're running a company. Connect with them, get to know them, let them see that you're there, because they're, by God, going to look you and your company up on LinkedIn first, because if you're in business, you're on LinkedIn. So just think about it that way, and think all you're doing is connecting all of the dots, so that when they think about you, they think trust.
I'm glad we touched on that, because I think that's an important point, that LinkedIn strategies are not strictly for B2B folks. Well, Jeb, this has been a very valuable time together. I appreciate it. Before we close out, I have to ask you if you're willing to participate in a little thing we call rapid fire questions. So these are 5 questions. The ones I picked for you tend to be a little bit more on the serious end of things for the most part, but all we're looking for is a quick response. You up to the challenge of rapid fire?
Hit me.
Okay. Seth, I'll let you ask the first one.
Here we go. Rapid fire question number 1. What is a product or service you've acquired recently, or perhaps even a book you have read that was a real game changer for you?
Product or service that I've acquired recently, I'm going to have to go new golf clubs. And I got Ping irons and Callaway drivers.
Awesome.
Good for you.
That was my reward for breaking 85. So when I broke 85, I'm not a great golfer, but when I broke 85, I got brand new clubs.
That's impressive.
It was a long wait.
Second question. What, if anything, should people immediately stop doing on LinkedIn?
One of the most important things you can stop doing on LinkedIn is what you call a pump and pounce. But you send someone a connection request, and then you immediately hit them up with a pitch, or your connection request is a pitch. Stop doing that immediately.
Good advice.
Question number 3. What is the most powerful word or phrase in selling?
Ooh, help me understand.
Oh, I love it. That's good. Good. What is the worst sales advice you've ever heard?
Oh, where do we begin?
I gotcha.
The worst. I'll just say cold calling is dead. That would be the worst sales advice I've ever heard. And add that to put a phrase in front of it. Dead. All of these things are dead. sales is dead. But the worst advice is stop talking to people, which is essentially what we're saying when we say cold calling is dead.
Yeah, good stuff.
Last question. What would you like to be remembered for at the end of your days?
I would like to be remembered for as a person who truly desired to make a positive impact on other people's lives, and I did that just because, like, I was a person that's what I woke up every day and did.
I would say you're doing that. Good job. Well, Jeb, you truly are making a difference out there, and that's just amazing. So thank you. For folks who want to learn more about you or about Sales Gravy, what are some of the best ways for them to do that?
We can go to salesgravy.com, or if you want to learn about our digital learning, go to learn.salesgravy.com, and you can connect with me and our company on LinkedIn. So you can click the follow button for me or send me a connection request. And our company page is Sales Gravy, easy to find. But those would be the best ways to get in touch with me. If you want to send me an email, I'm at jeb@salesgravy.com. So pretty easy.
Cool. Thank you. You do make it easy. And we will put all of those contacts down in the show notes as well. Well, thank you again for joining us, Jeb. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me on. And I appreciate y'all. I know we try to get this thing going in the summertime. We had to make a quick adjustment. So thank y'all very much.
Fully understanding. Well, thank you to our audience for tuning into this episode of Construction Disruption with best-selling author and leading sales coach, Jeb Blount. Please watch for future episodes of Construction Disruption. We always have great guests. Don't forget to leave us a review, give us a thumbs up. Keep on disrupting, keep on challenging folks out there looking for better ways of doing things. And don't forget to have a positive impact on everyone you encounter. Make folks smile and encourage them, simple yet powerful things you can do. So God bless and take care. This is Isaiah Industries signing off until the next episode of Construction Disruption.
This podcast is produced by Isaiah Industries, manufacturer of specialty metal roofing and other building products.